There were things that I thought were weird after it all went. That I didn't think were weird at the time. That I thought were weird after it happened. Like Apostle's communications with some of the techs, and in some instances, I can't remember which tech it was, so I don't want to like name any names because I don't remember who he's talking to. But there would be times that he would say, like, "Man, I was." He had a buddy buddy relationship with almost all the techs, and there was one time in particular that one came out, and he was like, "Man, I was so card dead this session," and the tech was like, "Yeah, you didn't pick up a hand. You know, you couldn't pick up better than a queen high all session long." And I just thought it was weird that a tech would be paying such close attention to Mike's hands in particular. But I just wrote it off as like, oh, Mike is the star of the stream. Mike is poker god. So they're
Yeah, and we were all kind of like family there.
right. So I didn't think anything of it in the time, but I did think back to like that conversation after everything broke down, where it was like there were times where I felt like the techs were pretty focused on Mike's play, and that doesn't mean that any of them were involved. It was just you know unusual in hindsight, and it's definitely unusual that Justin knew. Like in that last session, I remember hearing from Justin the exact number that Mike like cashed out or how much Mike was up, and that seemed bizarre. I mean, there was no chance that Mike knew like the exact number that I cashed out or that Adam cashed out or whoever, but he knew
Right.
like exact number that Mike cashed out. That's unusual. That's weird
Yeah,
to me. And Justin always seemed to know the like exact numbers that Mike would cash out. So that's weird.
so I remember telling Justin, like, because I initially came to Justin in March of
Mhm.
last year. And then I remember like I did commentary, I think with Jake, that might have been the Jake one, or I did commentary like two or three times since I told him I thought he was cheating. And I remember him being like, oh, he's on a downswing. Yeah, after I was like, hey, Mike won a lot. It was really, really weird. And
Yeah.
he was like, oh no, but he's on a downswing. So this is just like,
Yeah.
it goes up and down. And he's on a 20 or 25K downswing, he said. And I was like,
That's
how
part
would
of the
you know?
gaslighting that they did to everybody, particularly to you commentators, but to everybody that, they just put it out there like, oh, he's on a 25K downswing, and nobody really doubted it. But also, it would be bizarre that Justin would know that. I understand, like, guys talk with their friends, but that's pretty specific information for Justin to know. And it's also possible that Justin was just exaggerating that because Mike had told me he was on a downswing and Justin just threw a number out of there. Again, a charitable explanation would be that Mike hadn't told him the exact number he's on downswing, and Justin just said like, "Oh, he told me he's on big downswing," and in Justin's head it was like 25K, so he just said that. Again, considering that Justin knew all the numbers that Mike cashed out most of the time, that seems highly unlikely to me. It seems like Justin had that ready to go as an excuse. So that
Yeah,
has
and
that
that's
has been weird to me too.
Mike Postle victimized this entire table for like an entire night, and these guys are still having nightmares from this. So
yeah, and that was like when I initially spoke with him, he was like, there's instead of if I had come to you with, an issue of something you were running, whether
Mhm.
it's a live stream or whatever, I would assume if it's your baby and you want to keep the integrity of the game as your most important, the most important aspect of it, I would think you'd be like, wow, these are heavy accusations. Let me look into it. I didn't realize that this could be an issue, but maybe we should take the player out of the game, look into it, and then we can clear the air and have the player back. But literally it was like, no, zero, this is not happening. Martingale strategy, you don't know poker. And next week, he has his own show.
Yeah,
So it was quite interesting.
yeah. It's,
Um,
it's also weird to me that before it was clear that there would be, court proceedings or legal ramifications at all. In the days that followed, you coming out with your allegation against Mike, that Justin didn't reach out to one player in the player pool, to my knowledge. Like, I don't think he could have been omnipresent enough to realize, like, a lawyer's going to advise me not to reach out like the next day. Like in his situation, someone with his integrity, I would have expected to reach out to guys that were most cheated and been like, "Hey, like this isn't. I'm really sorry that that this came out. This isn't happening. This is how I know it's not something that he would have done something to ease these people's concerns. And he really, the best of what, my knowledge, what I've heard, he did none of that at all. And that seems weird to me as well.